It's Thursday once again. That means it's time to take a look at the legacy markets relative to crypto. Are they bullish? Are they bearish? Are there any correlations we can discern to any valuable degree? What's going on with the VIX? Let's talk about all those things. So I have the weekly BTC chart on the left, the daily BTC chart on the right, the VIX in the line here. And then below that are 30-week rolling correlations on the left, 30-day rolling correlations on the right of DXY, Dixie, gold, SPX, NASDAQ. So thus far over the past few weeks, I think the most surprising development has been the lack of correlation with gold. Gold has really stalled with BTC, and that high positive correlation has declined substantially to near zero over the past 30 weeks, mainly because gold has just held sideways, and I'll show that in a second. The 30-week rolling Dixie correlation remains extremely negative, something like 80, 75%, something like that. So any spike down in the Dixie should be extremely bullish for crypto in the near term. If we get further stimulus in the US, which is looking likely, then I'd expect Dixie to fall, and I'd expect both gold and BTC to have some sort of reaction. Silver as well. Looking at the VIX, it's held near 2022 for quite a while now. It's really been unable to break below 2022. Maybe over the next few weeks we'll see that as some of this coronavirus stuff settles down. And again, that will be bullish, at least historically, for crypto even further. So there haven't been any spikes in the VIX to really be concerned about on the crypto side of things. So thus far, this looks like there's nothing to worry about from the correlation bullish side of the argument. Because for me, there's only more downside for the VIX. And unless something crazy happens, the VIX probably isn't going higher, extremely higher anytime soon. Looking at SPX individually, on the daily chart, daily cloud here, SPX has continued to push all-time highs. And you can sort of see how these corrections have happened. You get these runs, and then you just get deep corrections. We failed to get a massively deep correction here, and we're kind of just continuing to melt up. As the buying continues, the money printing continues. Same old, same old. So even with a transition in administrations in the US and potentially new tax laws coming in, I think all of that is going to be overridden by stimulus, money printing, devaluation of the dollar. So all of that should be bullish for SPX as well. And I think the market's beginning to price that in, especially with the special elections in Georgia being over and the clear path for more stimulus coming within the next 2 quarters, I'd imagine within the first 100 days of the Biden administration. So as overbought as this might look, and as scary as all this looks, it probably keeps going. Same thing with NASDAQ. Not as exuberant recently as the S&P, but again, same story. It has these runs on the daily, deep corrections, and it had its deep correction not too long ago. Mild correction maybe, and remains bullish. A bit trendless in that you're seeing a lot of sideways here over several days. Potentially market is pricing in sort of the anti-tech politicians coming to a head in power, and maybe there's some breaking up of Facebook or breaking up of constituents in the NASDAQ, certain constituents in the NASDAQ. But I think the stimulus is going to have the same effect here. This should just keep going. There's really no reason at this point, as insane as this all is. You know, we had what we had happen in DC yesterday, and the markets don't care, right? Here's the dollar. Dollar has continued to decline as expected. You print more money. Trend says it's bearish. I mean, everything's just sort of happening as it should be. The only difference now is the last legs of support here historically come in 2018 between 88 and 89. So we're at 89.8 right now. And if we journey below 88, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that we will see 50K plus BTC prices follow very shortly, if not immediately, because money needs a place to go. and Bitcoin is an option. So a lot of people are seriously taking that into consideration now. And that's a lot of what we're seeing from institutions here, preserving the balance sheet, really, if anything. So although this looks overextended, although it looks maybe bull div-ish, I do think it continues to support here, but as soon as that stimulus passes within the next 130 days, probably, it's it's going to be game over for the Dixie very shortly. So hopefully BTC can time itself to not have a massive correction while getting that insanely bullish news. Here's zoomed way out on the Dixie back to 2000. And you can see historically there's really not that much to look at other than 88. The next level down, 84 maybe, these highs here, these lows here. But the potential of a situation leading into 2008 as far as how the Dixie might look is certainly possible. You just get this parabolic downside, and it's already super steep as it is, but I don't know what stops that from happening if we're printing more and more money. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, it's supply and demand. I can't look at crypto and these projects that have all this coin that they're releasing into the market and think that's bearish when the US dollar is doing the same thing. It's just supply and demand. Here's gold, and gold had an insane run for gold over the past couple of years. Retraced to the Kijun several times on the weekly, once in early 2020, once in late 2020. And for me here on the weekly, this isn't really, there's no real trade to be had. Kind of trendless. Anytime you see the cloud go flat like this and it gets thick, that's when there's a trendless situation on your hands. On the daily though, there's probably a trade to be had over the next couple weeks as the cloud flips bullish, prices above the cloud. And at that point, you'd have your long entry on the cloud system as soon as the cloud flips bullish. So if that does happen over the next few weeks, that's certainly a long entry signal. And you can set alerts for that sort of thing on in TradingView. Silver, kind of same story. Bounced a couple times, had just an insane breakout mid 2020. And on the weekly, not much of a trade there. I didn't mention the early pivots, but I do see all-time highs for gold eventually. I just don't know what that's going to look like on the weekly. I mean, you can certainly see it happening on the daily with this flipping of resistance, support, resistance, and you can even get this inverted head and shoulders situation over the next couple months, a neckline around like 1900. I mean, you can clearly see there's some horizontal here. Anytime you get a triangle, just draw a straight line to the point and boom, all of a sudden the market's paying attention to that level. So for silver, really, I don't think there's a trade on the weekly like I keep saying, but you are seeing what I'd like to see on gold as far as a long trade entry. Cloud is flipping back and forth, but overall the long entry looks good for gold. So once again, just beating the hammer home that Dixie falling off is probably the most bullish thing that we can have as far as a legacy comparison for crypto. And there's no signs that won't continue, certainly within 2021, over the next few months.